Hey there. Most of you remember the Apollo era, when NASA was the undisputed king of the stars, landing men on the moon with slide rules and pure grit. No smartphones, no supercomputers, just human ingenuity, government funding, and the kind of ambition that made the whole world stop and stare at their TV screens. That was 1969. Fast forward to today, and the headlines have changed completely. We see NASA's so-called mega rocket, the Space Launch System, sitting on the launch pad for years, hemorrhaging billions of dollars, while a private company called SpaceX is launching, landing, and reusing rockets almost every single week, like it's no big deal. So what's really going on here? Is NASA actually losing? Or has the game itself changed so fundamentally that we're not even playing the same sport anymore? In this video, we're going to break down the massive cost-efficiency gap between these two giants, explain what I call the bureaucracy trap that has NASA stuck in the past, and explore why the future of Mars, and maybe all of human civilization beyond Earth, might not belong to a government agency, but to a corporation. Stay with me, because this story goes much deeper than rockets. Let's get into it. Let's start with the most brutal comparison in modern aerospace, the cost of actually getting something into space. NASA's Space Launch System, the SLS, is their flagship rocket, the crown jewel, the thing they've been building for over a decade. And every single time it launches, it costs somewhere between $2 billion and $4 billion per flight. Let that sink in for a second. $2 to $4 billion for one rocket, one launch. Now compare that to SpaceX's Falcon Heavy, a rocket that can lift more payload than most missions require, at under $100 million per launch. And then there's Starship, SpaceX's next-generation vehicle, which Elon Musk has projected could eventually cost as little as a few $1,000,000 per flight once full reusability is achieved. The gap isn't just big, it's almost incomprehensible. Here's the analogy I want you to remember for this video. NASA's SLS is like a disposable luxury car, incredibly engineered, beautifully built, and then you drive it once and crash it into a wall, gone forever. You go buy another one for $2 billion. SpaceX's rockets, they're commercial airliners. You land them, you refuel them, you do a quick inspection, and you fly them again, and again, and again. That's not just a cost advantage, that's a fundamentally different philosophy about what spaceflight should look like. And it changes everything. The bureaucracy trap. So why is NASA stuck with the expensive disposable car model? The answer isn't incompetence. NASA employs some of the most brilliant engineers and scientists on the planet. The answer is something far more insidious. It's the system they're trapped inside. Let's talk about contracts. For decades, NASA has operated on what's called a cost-plus contract model. Here's how it works. NASA hires a contractor, let's say Boeing or Lockheed Martin, and tells them to build a rocket. Whatever it costs to develop, the government pays for it, plus a guaranteed profit margin on top. Read that again. The contractor gets paid more if the project costs more. They get paid more if it takes longer. There is literally zero financial incentive to be fast, efficient, or innovative. In fact, the incentives point in the exact opposite direction. Go slow. Add complexity. Stretch the timeline. The profit keeps coming. SpaceX flipped this completely. They use fixed-price contracts. SpaceX agrees to deliver a service for a set price. If they fail, they lose money. If they succeed quickly and efficiently, they keep the profit. Every dollar they save through smart engineering goes straight to their bottom line. That's capitalism working exactly the way it's supposed to, forcing innovation because survival depends on it. But it goes even deeper than contracts. There's a political dimension to NASA's dysfunction that most people don't talk about. The Space Launch System, that $2 to $4 billion per launch rocket, has components manufactured in all 50 US states. Not because that's the most efficient supply chain, not because that's the best engineering approach, But because spreading the work across every state means every senator and every congressman has a constituency with jobs tied to the SLS program. Cancel the program. You're killing jobs in 50 states. You're voting against 50 states worth of workers. Politically, it's almost impossible, so the program continues. The cost overruns continue, and NASA is left managing what is essentially a jobs program disguised as a space agency, at least when it comes to the SLS. SpaceX doesn't have to answer to Congress. They answer to customers, investors, and the cold logic of physics and economics. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, but SpaceX has had explosions, their rockets blow up. How is that winning? And this is where SpaceX's philosophy becomes genuinely radical and genuinely brilliant. Their approach is simple. Fail fast. Build it, fly it. If it blows up, learn from it. Build a better one. Fly again. The early Starship test flights were essentially controlled disasters, giant explosions that lit up the Texas sky. And SpaceX treated every single one as a data point, not a failure. Why can they do this? Because they're spending their own money, or investor money. When a SpaceX prototype explodes, the engineers go back to the drawing board overnight. No congressional hearings, no front-page scandals, no career-ending accountability theater. NASA cannot operate this way, and it's not entirely their fault. They are spending taxpayer money. Every failure is a news cycle. Every explosion is a Senate inquiry. The political and public scrutiny means NASA has to be certain before they fly, which means years of review boards, safety committees, and approval chains that stretch on forever. This is what I call the mission assurance paradox. The very caution that's supposed to make NASA better at spaceflight is the thing that's slowing them down so much that private companies are lapping them. And then there's vertical integration. SpaceX builds over 90% of its own components in-house. Engines, avionics, software, launch infrastructure, almost all of it made internally. This means when they need to change something, they change it. Internally. Quickly. No procurement process. No waiting for a subcontractor in another state to deliver a part in 18 months. NASA, by contrast, relies on a massive web of external contractors: Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, United Launch Alliance. Every contractor adds a layer of cost. Every interface between contractors adds a layer of delay. Every contract modification requires paperwork, reviews, approvals. It's like trying to win a Formula One race when your engine is made by one company, your tires by another, your steering wheel by a third, and they all have to submit change requests through a government portal before they can talk to each other. SpaceX is a race car built in one garage. NASA is an assembly project spread across the entire country. Here's where the story gets more nuanced and more interesting. NASA isn't necessarily losing at science. The James Webb Space Telescope is a masterpiece. The Mars rovers are extraordinary. NASA is still doing things at the frontier of human knowledge that no private company can or will do, because there's no commercial profit in studying distant galaxies or the atmospheric chemistry of Jupiter. But in terms of access to space, the actual infrastructure of getting to and from Earth orbit, NASA has made a historic transition. It has moved from being a provider to being a customer. The Commercial Crew Program is the clearest example. NASA literally buys seats on SpaceX's Crew Dragon to send its astronauts to the International Space Station. The agency that put men on the moon is now purchasing tickets from a 22-year-old private company to reach a space station in low Earth orbit. That's a seismic shift. And honestly, it might be the right one, because while NASA focuses on the genuinely hard, expensive, scientifically critical missions, the Artemis program to return humans to the moon, the deep space science missions, SpaceX is building the highway system of space. Starlink is already the world's largest satellite constellation, beaming internet to over 100 countries and generating the revenue that funds everything else. Starship if it fulfills its promise, could make launching payloads to orbit cheaper by an order of magnitude, transforming space from a destination for the elite few into an accessible frontier. And that's the real long game here. SpaceX isn't just winning contracts, they're building the infrastructure, the satellites, the heavy lift rockets, the refueling depots, eventually the Mars transport system that could make them the gatekeepers of Earth's orbit for the next century. Government agencies set the stage. Private companies are now building the city on top of it. So, is NASA losing? In terms of efficiency, launch cadence and cost per kilogram to orbit? Yes, it's not even close. The numbers don't lie. But NASA also built the foundation that made SpaceX possible. The technologies, the talent pipeline, the decades of research. SpaceX didn't emerge from nothing. They stood on NASA's shoulders, absorbed their lessons, and then moved faster because they had a different set of incentives. What we're really watching is a handoff. NASA is passing the keys to low Earth orbit to the private sector so it can focus on the things only a government agency with a long-time horizon and a non-commercial mandate can do. The impossible science, the deep space missions, the things that have no profit motive but define what it means to be human. The space race of the 21st century isn't a sprint between two countries anymore. It's a race between the old way of doing business, bureaucratic, political, slow, and a new, high-speed, commercially driven reality. And right now, the new reality is winning. If you found this breakdown valuable, and if you're new here, this channel is all about breaking down complex economic and geopolitical stories in a way that actually makes sense. Subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time.